was so miserable. I have really bad ADHD. I used to sell drugs.
Okay.
I got a Craigslist apartment for like 3 months. I had no job. I had no money. My parents, they let me borrow $10,000, which is a lot of money, but not a lot of money at the same time. I would have panic attacks in the middle of class.
Did you have a goal, or it was just training for the sake of training?
No. It was my therapy. How you train is how you fight, and how you fight is how you live your life. When I started taking all of that I had and giving it to other people, to be honest, it's not selfless. My life got much better. It saved my life. I mean, I was trying to find a way to not be so dramatic, but it really did.
Noah, thanks so much for sitting down with me for the Optispan podcast. This is pretty awesome. I'm here in New York City. Usually we're doing this from Seattle, but this is a lot of fun. It's been a little bit cold this week, I have to say.
You're used to it from Seattle, though. Isn't it cold out there?
It's not nearly as cold
really?
In Seattle. Yeah, we get all I know
about. All I know about Seattle is the Supersonic, Sean Kemp. I used to play them in NBA Jam. One of my favorite video games.
Yeah,
of all
so
time.
You just brought up a pain point for me.
Why?
The Sonics aren't in Seattle anymore. They moved.
Oh, that's right.
To Oklahoma City.
Damn, we just dated ourselves.
I'll tell you a story offline about when I most recently visited Oklahoma City, and the cab driver punked me when I got there and asked me if Seattle had an NBA team. This was when the Thunder were on their run to the championship. So that's a different, actually he didn't know, but I reacted in a way that I'm not very proud of to this question.
It's okay. There's a very awful statistic. I'm from Pittsburgh originally. There's a very awful statistic that we live and die by our sports teams, especially Steelers, and Penguins, Pirates are a little on our poo-poo list.
Yeah.
But this is actually, it's a crazy stat. It's the instances of domestic TV go up like 30% after a Steelers loss on Sunday.
Isn't that just...
It's atrocious.
Yeah.
But I mean, people live and die by their sports team. So I don't get that. What I'm saying. I understand where you're
going. Right now in Seattle, speaking of sports, it's an exciting time because the Seahawks are in the Super Bowl. Woohoo! So I feel pretty good. We'll see. We'll see if this prediction holds up, but I'm feeling pretty good this time around against the Patriots.
Again, Steelers. So it hurts. It hurts. We haven't won a playoff game in about 4,000 years.
Well, I grew up when the Seahawks were usually in last place every single year. So, you know what? A lot of teams have these periods, and then, it turns around. Awesome. Yeah. So maybe that's a metaphor for life. And it is. Training. So let's talk 100%. About training. So I'm really interested to hear in your words sort of, the impact that training has had on you. I've heard a couple of quotes from you about how it gave you direction, at periods in your life when maybe you didn't have direction. But anyways, I'd like to hear about in your words, like what has been your lived experience here?
I mean, it saved my life. I mean, I was trying to find a way to not be so dramatic, but it really did. You probably see as I'm turning my feet, I can't sit still. I have really bad ADHD. I shouldn't even say bad ADHD. I have ADHD that is extreme. Mm-hmm. And I've learned that the more I control my physical body, the more I can in turn control my emotional body. And I don't think it's a two-way street. Because if you try in a deficient body that's not healthy, you try to will yourself out of some emotional problems. It doesn't really, at least for me, it never really happened. But the more that I committed to taking care of myself, making sure that I ate as properly as I could, slept as much as I could, mitigated stress as much as I could, and then specifically got into fight training. There's something about fight training specifically that has you really stressing your physical systems, your stress systems in a rather controlled environment so that when you get into the real world, so to speak, it teaches you things that you can use in those situations that you don't even realize you're building the skill for when you're training. Shakespeare said the world is but a stage. I kind of modify that to the world is but a ring. And I kind of, what got me into training when I was younger is ADHD kid, overweight. I'm in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. I felt really uncomfortable in my own skin. And this was kind of pre-robust internet, not to date myself, but I had to sneak online at AOL, the instant messenger forums, and try to learn about, health and wellness. And I would sneak on to bodybuilding.com and try to read everything I could about nutrition and putting my workouts together. I was, went to Barnes and Noble, Body for Life by Bill Phillips. I read that book when I was younger, and coupled that with I had this therapist when I was a kid. He might have been court appointed. I don't know. I used to get into a lot of trouble when I was a kid because I just didn't know how to control my ADHD. As you probably know, ADHD comes with a lot of angst and rage because you have all this energy and you don't know where to direct it. And as a
society is telling you not to do that.
Exactly. Right? Yeah. They're telling you sit in your seat, don't wiggle, don't move. You have to be subdued and calm. And that's the worst thing. I was trying to do that. I just couldn't. So I tried the medication for a while. I got this therapist. They put me on Adderall, pre-Adderall. What's the precursor to Adderall? I don't know. So anyway, put me on that. I had this therapist and he was like, anytime you're feeling a certain way, like I want you to ball up your fist and I want you to hit like a pillow. And I was sitting there as this little kid, grew up, watching fight sports and watching Bruce Lee and watching, Rocky. And I was like, that's stupid. So, but it ended up laying the foundation, which ended up being my life. I'm sure that guy has passed away. I don't remember his name, but I'm so sorry, sir. You were right. So I remember not too long after that therapy session, I was walking around in Pittsburgh and I walked in front of a boxing gym that had, a facade. It was like an open facade, all windows. And this little insecure kid with all this angst and rage walked by, and I saw these behemoths, these like modern day X-Men.
How old do you think you were at this point?
I was 12. I was around 12 at the time. So I saw these people and I was like, I want to do that. I want to be like that. And so I started, I think I begged my parents to give me a little boxing setup, and I started, training and looking at videos online. And, I went to that gym and I started like hitting the bags, and I started, learning about strength training, and I got into football. I started playing football, pretty religiously at my school. Ended up being pretty damn good as a running back. They called me, the minivan because Jerome Bettis, he was the bus. Right. And I was this overweight kid that wanted to be a running back. Yeah. And I was like, if Jerome Bettis can do it, and his chunky behind.
So you're the minivan.
Shout out Jerome. I was the minivan. Ended up doing well with that. But again, the more I took control of my physical body, the better I did in school. I wasn't perfect. I got into a lot of trouble in high school. And I ended up going to college. My parents wanted me to go to the Peace Corps. They didn't want me to go to college because it was very 50-50 if I was going to make it through. Because I was doing well. I was using my tactics right now, like I told you about, my, taking care of my physical body control, but I'm still a young, now in my teens, getting into trouble, getting kicked out of schools and classes. And, I go to college, and luckily I found Jiu-Jitsu. I started training at, Sarah Jiu-Jitsu in East Meadow in Long Island, right down the street from where I went to school. And again, it kept me out of the bars all the time because I was training 5-6 days a week with these UFC fighters. And it really, when you're getting your ass kicked, you don't have a lot of energy to be foolish.
And let me ask you, did you have a goal that you were training to, or it was just training for the sake of training and it just helped you sort of navigate life?
It was my therapy. Yeah. And it ended up being the precursor to everything that I've done in my professional career, at least my later professional career, whether it was at Barry's Bootcamp when I'm working in boxing, and that became my niche, or taking Rumble and creating a boxing and strength training experience that we took all over the world.
We'll dive more into
and then, or selling that and starting the pack. But that was the precursor to what really saved my life, which is Knuckle Therapy, this brand that I launched in honor of my dog, Oz, that passed away. I got a tattoo here.
Yeah, well, I want to talk dogs later too.
Yeah, too. We got a lot we can spit on. But so I started training, and again, learning camaraderie and learning when you're down and your team picks you up and you're rolling and you're just present because you're going to get submitted or you're going to get reversed, or you got to work on positioning and you got to really be focused and present. And I'd always suffered with a lot of anxiety and kind of depression. And what the most sinister things about anxiety and depression is, one, it takes you out of your present body. It makes you either fearful of the past or regret the past, or fearful for the future, which is your anxiety.
Might go wrong. Yeah.
Yeah. So what fighting has taught me is to be in your present body. And I think every Stoic philosopher, from Plato, Socrates, Alexander the Great, Epictetus, they all say the same thing. To be your happiest and most sane self, you got to be present. And I'm sure there's other ways to do it. Sure. But what brought me into my present body was training and fighting and putting myself through really hard, rigorous things. And then I use those principles to kind of parlay into my professional and personal life.
So I want to just touch briefly on what does that word training mean to you? And I thought it was interesting that you brought in a little bit, nutrition and sleep, and I want to get into those. Do you think of all of that as part of training, or because I think a lot of people think of training as you're physically training for some competition or lifting weights? Or
why would you train for a company? Listen, God bless High Rocks, Hybrid Rock Stars, and all that fun stuff that people love. But why would you just train for that? Again, I kind of said it. The world is but a ring. And how you train is how you fight, and how you fight is how you live your life. I got bars for days. I know I was freestyle rapping before the podcast started, but I didn't mean to grab the mic like that. Too many Method Man videos. But it's true. Like, how you train is how you fight, and how you fight is how you live your life. And I don't necessarily even mean literally. I just mean right now. I've been working, launching the pack and my Knuckle Therapy brand 10 months straight, 7 days a week. And people are like, how do you have so much energy? It's not an accident. I'm not different. I wasn't born with a different body. If anything, I had to overcome a lot of what people would diagnose with DSM diagnosis, disabilities and things that would inhibit me from being successful.
Right.
So in spite of all that, I train. I'm not always perfect. I slip up like everyone else.
Nobody is.
But as much as I can control, again, the food that I put in my body, the hydration levels that I have, mitigating stress as much as I can with whether it's, again, boxing or jiu-jitsu or Muay Thai or reading or hanging with my dogs, keeping, again, stress mitigated as much as possible, sleeping as best as I can. Yep. That's going to give me energy to show up. And this morning, I drove my friend 7 a.m. to the airport. I'm on the phone on the way back, 45 minutes stuck in, Kosciuszko. I probably said that wrong. Kosciuszko. I don't know how to say that. There's a lot of vowels. There's a lot of K's. Kosciuszko Bridge. Anyway, I'm on traffic there. I'm talking on the phone. We're meeting with my friend, my partners about Knuckle Therapy. I get to the pack. I teach a class. I had a meeting right after that. I walked because it was like 15 blocks and it was just like short enough where I had to walk and I didn't want to be a punk.
It's 15 degrees
15 degrees and I'm not built. I'm in like California clothes right now. Wasn't built for it, but I ran here.
Yeah.
And now I'm doing the podcast. I'll go teach later and I'll go home. Like, you build that up. And so people are like, why? Well, how do you have so much energy? And it's because I look at life as a fight and you just train for all the things that you have to do. And
I heard this phrase one time that, the journey is the reward. And that seems to resonate kind of, with what you're saying. Like, it's not like you're trying to get to this goal that you're never going to achieve. It's like you're getting energy from being on this journey, doing cool stuff with cool people, making a difference, right?
I totally agree. I think that what people, the blessing and maybe the blessing or the blessing and the curse of ADHD is we never really hang on the finished product. We're just almost like relieved it's done. And then we're like, what's next?
Yeah.
So I probably get this from my mom. And I say this quote a lot. You're only as good as your last sale. You're only as good as your last encounter. You're only as good as your last podcast. You're only as good. So I always try to, treat my first like my last and my last like my first. That's Jay-Z. That's the Black Album. One of my favorite songs, my first song. Again, I got bars for days, but it's true. And again, growing up listening, I made a joke that my RAM is full because I have so many like hip hop and like pop culture.
And I've got 80s hair metal lyrics in my head. So yeah.
Metallica and Def Leppard. But yeah, I think that's true. So, ADHD, what the hell were we even talking about? What was the point of that? Well, I had a point. The journey.
That's right.
That's it. So the journey. I got you. Just bear with me. It's going to work out in the end, I swear. So what happens is, and you find it in a lot of highly successful individuals, is I want to be a millionaire. You get there and then you're depressed because you're like, damn, like that's a finite point. Then you're like, okay, what do I do now? I think the purpose is impact. The purpose is creating something of value consistently. And then hopefully Steve Jobs' approach, focus on the product, not the profit. Yeah. The profit comes, but building the product, building the experience. When I learned that, my life got so much better because I didn't worry about the end result. I worried about every encounter, every moment building up to it, building relationships, being present and not worrying about what was coming.
I think that's probably an important piece because it's more than just getting enough money or getting enough fame. And I think you would agree with this because it's my impression, right? And I think you said once, a big turning point in your life was when you started realizing that training to help others has a big impact on you personally, right? Yes. So it's not only about what can I gain for myself, it's what value can I bring to other people.
You want to go deep? You want to open up? Don't snitch on me, although the statute of limitations is up. I believe it's 13 years. So I wasn't.
I'm not sure where this is going.
I'm an open book, whatever.
All right.
NYPD, FBI, if you want to, whatever. I used to sell drugs.
Okay.
So it got me a car, it got me, great China wall, $1,200 hoodies. And I bought all the things that I want, but I was so miserable. And I had the things that I thought growing up as a little kid watching,
what society tells you.
Rap videos. I was watching BET Uncut, watching MTV, Yo MTV Rap, seeing the rollies and all that stuff. And again, working to get things is not a terrible thing. And so don't get it wrong. I do like fun things. I like fast cars.
Sure. I guess what I would say is I think the majority of people will never be satisfied if that's the goal.
Well, it's Jim Carrey. Jim Carrey said it best. He was like, I wish everyone could be rich and famous so that they can all realize that that's not the answer.
Right.
You know, a lot. So you get there. And again, materialism has been around since the dawn of man. I want this rock. I want this shinier rock. I want this crown. I want this. And so I get that. It's not a bad thing necessarily, but that needs to be bounded by empathy, grounded by gratitude. It's got to be grounded by making an impact. So there's a quote that I say on every single podcast. So if you cut together like the Daily Show clip or whatever that John's last week tonight with John Elliott or whatever his name is, if you put together a clip, you're going to see 1,000 iterations of me saying this, but it's so true. Muhammad Ali, this is the Basquiat Muhammad Ali caricature. So he said, service to others is our rent for our room here on earth. And I'm trying to find a better quote. So like, I'm sorry if you followed me on this whole crazy journey we've been on. Thank you for that, by the way. But I'm trying to find a better quote to sum up what really changed my life. Mm-hmm. His biography is incredible. King of the World, I think it's called. Incredible biography. But that's so true. If our rent, our true rent, you know, not our landlord that we pay, like that's rent. That's literal rent. But our true rent, our spiritual rent, is service to others. And when I found that, and I really found that when I started training other people at Barry's, right? Because I was going through a lot of anxiety and depression. I had almost OD'd accidentally from partying too much. This was in my early 20s. And when I started training other people and using all of these skills that I had built up that I didn't even know, again, reading Bill Phillips' Body for Life, training with Sarah Jiu-Jitsu, training with, you know, all these incredible boxing coaches and strength and conditioning coaches and learning myself and just doing self-practice. When I started taking all of that I had and giving it to other people, to be honest, it's not selfless. My life got much better. Right. No, my depression started to subside. My anxiety started to subside. It's okay that it's not
selfless, right? It's great when it feels good to help other people.
Oh, 100%. That's why when I see videos of like Zach, MD Motivator, shout out, really good guy, had the pleasure of meeting. Like I see them posting videos of them doing like these really cool things and like donating $10,000 so that a kid can go to a basketball camp from the inner cities or something like that. But they're documenting it. Sure. And people are like, why can't you just do that off camera? I'm like, shut up. Like they're doing the thing. Yeah. They're documenting it. Is it self-serving? For sure. Is that person still being impacted with that positivity and that experience?
Right.
Absolutely. Right. So I vacillated back and forth between being like, oh, why would you put like you giving the homeless person a meal on camera? But it's like, maybe that's going to spark that next person to do that same thing. So
right. I think we need to see more positive sort of stories out there.
Yeah, to combat all this craziness that we see.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
So one thing I was wondering about, how did you get that job at Barry's that sort of had this impact on you?
It's called failing upwards, like the story of my goddamn life. Again, we just talked about this. Like we had no agenda. We'll figure out where the hell we go and it'll work out in the end. I'll give you the shortened version. In Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, I had moved back from to New York to Pittsburgh to deal with some family health issues and to deal with my own mental health issues. And I almost OD'd. Talked about that, pretty open about that. Woke up in the hospital next day. I was driving around and I was feeling really down on myself. I felt like I let my whole family down. I saw how scared they were about where my life was headed. And I was driving around and I'm so fortunate to have found this man, Warren Stout, who has incredible, Stout, training facilities, Stout PGH. They're, Jiu-Jitsu, Muay Thai, and they do some other things as well in Pittsburgh. Mm-hmm. And this was when he was opening up his first studio ever. And I told you I trained at Sarah Jiu-Jitsu growing up or in college. And so I'm having this terrible moment where I almost died. And then I'm driving through Lawrenceville, a place where I never really was before in Pittsburgh. I grew up there, but for some reason I was just driving down listening to, probably DMX to be honest. Hence the dogs and the muscles and the chains, why I'm very impressionable. So I'm driving through Lawrenceville and this guy's hanging this sign up and I just saw the end of it. It was like Henzo Gracie, Academy. And Henzo is who Matt Serra trained under. It's actually, I train at Henzo Mothership, with Elijah and some of the gang, Black Rob, Jiu-Jitsu, Brian and the gang, on 30th, like literally right down the street on 30th and 7th Avenue. So really cool New York moment for me to be back here. So I swerved to the side of the road and I just stopped and I walked up to this man, Warren, who was hanging the sign. He wasn't even open yet. And I was like, I need help. Like, I just need to be a part of something. I need to be a part of a crew, a pack. I want to train with you guys. I need to get my I need to get my life in order. And again, I always told you that training was always my backbone. I had lost sight of that for a while. Yeah. Drugs, alcohol, just partying too much, going crazy as a young 20 something. And he took me instantly under his wing. I stayed there, I think, and helped him finish opening the space. I was like cleaning the mats and stuff. I came back the next day, and that kicked off a year and a half of just training religiously with these guys, 5, 6, 7 days a week. And really, it gave me purpose. And again, I was too exhausted to like want to do drugs or too exhausted. And anytime I was literally remember rolling and going sparring with these guys while suffering panic attacks. But the one thing about panic attacks is like, you start focusing on the physical symptoms, it makes it worse. So I couldn't do that because I had somebody trying to choke me. And like put me in an arm lock and put me in. I was like,
important things to worry
exactly.
about.
So I had more pressing issues than like, oh, my heart's palpitating and like I feel real, like my skin is itching. So I was like, so I was dealing like with these issues. I don't even know if they knew that at the time. I'm not as open as I was. I was kind of embarrassed to go through that. So if you're going through it right now, be open about it. It's not embarrassing. I probably would have helped myself a lot earlier.
We're all just flawed human beings.
Oh, we're all fucked up.
Yeah. I think you learn that more as you get older and you were able to be more open about it.
Everybody's fucked up. It's just how you deal with those that makes you who you are. It also builds character. Jensen Huang said, you know, adversity, strife, controversy, problems, that forms the best character. And so that forms the best businessmen, the best, you know, citizens of society. So anyway, so I'm with Warren and I finally like build up the strength to go back on my own. And I got a Craigslist apartment for like 3 months. And I was like, all right, make it or break it. 3 months. I had no job. I had no money. My parents, luckily, love them to death. They let me borrow $10,000, and which is a lot of money, but not a lot of money at the same time when you're moving to New York, starting with
only
nothing.
going to get you so far.
So it was kind of one of those moments. So I remember getting back, I had a little third floor walk up, from this Craigslist apartment that I found. This guy, Alex Malishev, who was a Ford model, gorgeous guy, really handsome, 6'4". He was going to South Africa to shoot for 3 months. And he was like, pay what you can. Really cool guy. And rented his place on Washington Street, right across from the East Village Standard in New York City. And I was still kind of going through some doubt and uncertainty, and still kind of going through some depression and anxiety issues, although the jiu-jitsu really helped, and that year really helped me. And one of my friends, this guy, Micah Jesse, who was he's a blogger, and he does like celebrity interviews and stuff like that. He was like, come to this place, Barry's Bootcamp. They just opened. I want you to try this class with me. I'm going to do like a little blog post on like Kim Kardashian's favorite workout that just moved to New York City the week, like it just opened that week. And I remember I almost said no. And if I almost say no, I'm not here and I don't know where I'm at, to be honest. So that one moment, I was still really down on myself. I didn't have a lot of money. I probably wasn't eating well because I was trying to save.
Sounds like
money.
Probably not a ton of self-confidence.
Not a ton. Well, yeah, not a ton of self-confidence. Not a ton of energy. I just feel, again, depression is very exhausting. It's like a weight on your elephant on your chest all damn day in your mind. So I was like, all right, fight. You're a fighter. You've trained all your life. You fought with killers. You can't go to a Barry's Bootcamp class. Like, get off your ass. So I was like, all right, I'm going to come. So I went. I remember being in the bathroom even before class, and I was like, I don't know. Like, I felt weird around a lot of people, a lot of new people, and it's like group fitness, and I know these people, and like, what if I have a panic attack? What if something goes wrong? And
was this sort of your first experience with that group fitness sort of?
No, my first. Besides training jiu-jitsu and like, but
that's kind of a different.
This was like very like the aesthetic, and you walk in and it smells like Malin and goats or whatever, goets or however you say it. And it's like very bougie. And me, I was like, I'm like a jiu-jitsu guy. Like I've had fucking ringworm and staph infections, and I'm like cool with that. I'm like, I kind of like that. It's a badge of honor. So this was all prissy and polished. And I'm like, this is interesting. It wasn't like bad or good. It was like refreshing, but also like, all right, I kind of like the dark, dingy, like, you might get tetanus if you touch a weight. And like, so I walk in, and I remember I was doing the class, and I was sprinting up a treadmill, and I probably took my shirt off or something like that, because I'm sorry, I'm that kind of guy. And I took my shirt off, and I was like, damn, like I lost myself in that moment. The music's blasting, the lights are low. I'm dapping up my friends. I was with my other friend, Jackie Naza, who knew Micah as well. So it was all three of us, and we're dapping each other up. And like afterwards, Joey Gonzalez, I don't know if he's still the CEO, but he was I think an exec at the time. He was really credited as helping Barry scale internationally to the brand it is now. We struck up a conversation, and he didn't know that I'd studied this whole thing my whole life. I'd trained jiu-jitsu. Like I was doctor, streets, science, streets. He didn't know any of that stuff. And he was like, we struck up a conversation. He was like, yo, would you want to do this? And I was like, huh. And, when you have nothing, when you lost everything, you can take as many risks as you want. You can do whatever.
That's right.
So I said, yep. I said, why the hell not? I was like modeling and doing little bartending jobs, trying to make some money. I don't want to go back to my old ways. So I avoided some friends that I shouldn't be involved with. So, I went through all the trainings and stuff like that. And they gave me one class at Monday night at 9 p.m.
And that was your first time ever kind of switching to that side where you're training other people?
Ever. I wasn't doing it professionally before. Although my mom, shout out Roz, you were right again. She said, like, why don't you?
Moms usually are.
Yeah, but when you're a kid and you're going through it, you're like, no, you don't know what the hell you're talking about. She knew it. Yeah, so she was telling me for a while that I should have done this. But again, timing is everything. So right time, right place, strike up a conversation. They give me one class on Monday night at 9 p.m., which is not a very easy hour to sell out. I mean, it's a long, people have long New York City days. Most people work out in the morning. Barry's was known as a morning workout as well. Or, slightly after work, but 9 p.m. And I remember showing up and I'd have one person in class, then 3, then maybe none, and then 5. But I remember every class, you're only as good as your last sale. You're only as good as your last class. Be present, be in the moment, treat your first like your last and your last, all these things that like I grew up learning, but now I was trying to apply them and walk the walk and instead of just talking the talk. I would show up with such energy and I was playing, my hip hop music. Barry's was known for like their EDM and pop. I think I was the first straight trainer there ever. That's a true story. I think I was.
Yeah.
So I that was a kind of my differentiating, my USP, unique selling proposition there. And I've always been fascinated as a side with brand, like in branding. So I've always studied on brands, especially in like hospitality and learning about like what Tao Group has done and reading Will Guidara, Unreasonable Hospitality and Chasing Cool. I think Teppenberg was part of that. Noah, the other Noah. But anyway, I just love that. That was like a passion on the side. So I branded this thing Vampire Fitness Hour. I think it was when Twilight was popular. Yeah. And I branded it and was like, if you show up at 9 to 10 o'clock to do a boot camp with me, listening to, DMX, Method Man, Wu-Tang Clan, Jay-Z, KRS-One, Dre, Snoop, all these like, badass, tough people. And you're that kind of person, like you're a vampire, you're a dog. Like, so I branded it that and it started blowing up. People looked at this class like a badge of honor. So I ended up doing better. 3 people became 5, became 7, became 60 with a 60 person wait list. Yeah. So they gave me all Monday through Thursday at 9 p.m. Vampire Fitness Hour, selling it out. Very fortunate for timing as well, because it was at the time when fitness was cool and celebrities were talking about their trainers and, so I definitely right place, right time as well. And I started getting a lot of press and publicity and Cosmo and Elle and Vanity Fair. Shout out Michael Carl, who gave me my first Vanity Fair article in Carl's Crush. And it was really just because I had this passion and I really was, like we talked about, I gave that passion and knowledge for 60 minutes, 9 to 10 o'clock, and they ended up giving me more classes throughout the week, but we'll talk about Vampire Fitness Hour. No matter what. I remember in the beginning of teaching, I would have panic attacks in the middle of class and my arm would start to like go numb. And I'm sure if you ever had a panic attack, like you get this disassociated feeling. But because I was in this class with other people and I couldn't let them see me go through that. And also I had to give to them. I couldn't focus on my own shit. Right. I saw it. It was like a Scooby-Doo cartoon. Like I felt my soul being like wrangled back in every time I focused on somebody else. Like you could do it. You can sprint up this, you got it. Every time I focused on that, the anxiety got a little bit lesser and lesser. And then eventually, it went away.
I was going to ask.
It went away.
You don't experience that anymore?
No.
Wow.
And it's crazy, but it's wild to think that, like, again, no medication, and we can get into a whole conversation. If you need medication, take it. Course. I think we over-prescribe things, not as a doctor. That's a whole different conversation. Medication was always a Band-Aid for me. It never got to the root issue, and it ended up making it worse. I was on Xanax for my anxiety, probably became dependent on that, took too much of it, ended up getting, paradoxical effects, and you start to have to take more and more as you get used to the dosages. And so for me, not succumbing to these physical symptoms, which are very real, the heart palpitations, the skin.
Yeah. I don't want to at all minimize the kind of anxiety that you experienced, but in some ways, a lot of people have experienced a more milder version. A lot of people have speaking anxiety. You have to get in front of an audience and speak.
This was not mild. I used to literally sit in my shower and feel like I was looking at myself in the third person and not be able to move and turn the shower off.
What I'm getting at though is, I think there are some underlying similarities and I think people can overcome the cause of the anxiety through repetition or through strategies like you adopted to where at some point you don't have that trigger anymore, right?
I totally agree. I think, again, the sinister thing about anxiety and depression is it makes you focus on all these real physical things that are happening to you, and you become hyper-focused and hyper-obsessed.
And then
they become your triggers. Yeah. So like when you're walking down the street and your heart starts to raise up, you think, oh shit, I'm having another panic attack. But no, you're just hyper-aware that your heart rate is increasing and that's what normally happens when you exert.
But often if you defeat that enough times, you can...
If you fight through it.
Flip the switch. So it's not a problem anymore.
The world is but a fight. And so, or the world is but a ring. And so, no, I completely agree. And again, so like I kept going through these routines of, all right, I'm not going to do this anymore while I'm teaching. I'm just going to, focus on everyone else. And again, it's like the Babadook. Like once you take it, or like it at the end when they like, we're not afraid of you. And it like kills the clown. Stupid ending, by the way. I love you, Stephen King, but that was a dumb ending. But it's true. Once you take the physical, like, and the fear out of it, it takes the power away from this like demonic creature. And then it just goes away because it wants to prey on the next person that will succumb to those things. It feeds off your fear. Right. It's like Jeepers Creepers, one of my favorite movies. And I have this tattoo that I got. It's actually, I don't think I've ever told this on a podcast before because mainly I've forgotten to.
All right. Now. Breaking news.
Yeah, this actually is true. So why I have all these tattoos on my left arm and not a lot on my right is because I used to my left arm would get numb. So I wanted to fill it with tattoos and feel that physical pain on my left arm so I could just like get it out of my system and just be like, all right, I can deal with like, my arm like cramping up and like getting the tingles and getting that lock up when you feel like you're having a heart attack, when you're having a panic attack. So I got this arm covered up, and one of my first tattoos was "Fearless minds climb soonest on 2 crowns." Let me see if I can remember this. King Henry VI, Act 4, Scene 7, line 68. Go check it and see if I'm right. Act 4, Scene 7, line 68. I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
Section
Take your word for it.
Section 3. You can. All right. Anyway. But I got that. And again, fearless minds doesn't mean don't show fear. It means don't let it infect your mind. You can have those physical things. Just don't let it reach up here and you're going to be good. So I never let it infect my mind. I said, oh, my heart's pounding. Good. Fuck it. I survived this 1,000 times before. I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing despite the fact that I feel really physically uncomfortable right now. Right. And again, I took power away from the Jeepers Creepers monster. Right. And it just one day just went away and never to return again. So whatever.
So you had this experience. You were at Barry's, and then did you go from there to Rumble?
Yeah.
So Rumble's been super successful.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So tell us about that. How'd you make that leap?
I was always trying to find my differentiating factor within the Barry's brand. Because remember, I told you, I love branding. So I was always thinking about like, if I were to launch something, what would I do? So within the constructs of Barry's, like Barry's is running and strength training. So you spend, essentially half class doing intervals. So half the class is running. You're doing, distance runs, endurance runs, you're sprinting, you're doing dynamic mode where you're pushing the treadmill, and then strength training where you're getting your basic compound lifts and you're getting your strength training in. And so I would always try to, on the floor side, and even on the treadmill side, I would always try to work in boxing. That was just my thing. I loved it. I loved being able to teach people how to throw some punches. I thought it was fun. The customers seemed to love it. We started doing it at Vampire Fitness Hour, and I started bringing it to everybody. Whether it was a Saturday morning at 7 a.m. class, I had people shadow boxing and throwing jabs and crosses, 1s and 2s, and throwing uppercuts for speed and teaching them a jab cross hook and ducks. And people seemed to like it. But that wasn't what Barry's isn't known for, that stuff. Now, now a lot of people try to work in shadow boxing, whether it's on this, the bikes or whatever. And it's cool. I like that. I like anything that gets you like kind of topically touching in these combat sports and is great. I love that. So I remember I was posting a ton of videos of me training, whether it was Gleason's or Church Street, with, Stephen Franks. I think I trained a few times with the Burrells, Don Saxby, and I was training with my friend Brendan Francis, who I lived with. He was in my building. He was my neighbor in my building. And there used to be a Crunch gym on Lafayette Street that had a full boxing setup. So we would always train there, again, 5-6 days a week. And I was posting a ton of videos on it. And my business partner in Rumble, this guy, Eugene Ram, who is a absolute savant when it comes to hospitality. He started everything from 10 June, which was one of the most iconic nightclubs in New York City, to, you probably know him from Catch. He owns the Catch restaurant, hospitality, Catch Hospitality Group. He owns Corner Store, which is all over the world. Everyone's talking about it all over the world. It's in Soho, the 86, He's opening another one. But anyway, he's just a killer in the space. I've known him through the city for probably 2 decades. He went to Hofstra as well. Funny story about Eugene, full circle moment. I actually used to sneak into one of his houses that he owned. He invested in some properties around Hofstra where I went to college, and I couldn't really afford housing. So I snuck into one of his houses and lived with this girl I was seeing at the time. And he coincidentally owned the house. And so,
so you were squatting.
I was squatting in his house. He didn't know.
College student,
and we weren't really that friendly. He was older than me, so we weren't really
I think
friendly.
Statute of limitations.
That's up too. So drugs and squatting can't get me. But he reached out to me, and he tells the story so differently. But Eugene, I'll tell it like it was. I said no for like 3 or 4 months because I was so afraid of losing everything. I let fear infect my mind, despite the tattoo.
Yeah.
And I remember he was very persistent. He's this Brighton Beach immigrant who is really built his whole industry up or business up himself. Really, he's a scrappy guy. I respect him very much. And he was very persistent. And I remember he stayed on top of me, and he was like, listen, I want to get in the space. He was an investor in Flywheel. He's like, I want to do this. I want to balance it out. I'm getting these people, fed and having drinks at night. What do we do in the morning with them? I have this crazy customer base, and I had my customer base from berries. I had built up my own brand. I had a show on Bravo for a season, and I was doing all this press publicity. I was with Nike. I was doing big, 10,000 person events, and I built up a little something for myself. This little kid from Pittsburgh suffering with panic attacks, anxiety, depression, overweight, self-conscious, getting kicked out of schools. And now I'm like, damn, I did it. So again, I was afraid to lose that.
Yeah. And I mean, I think this goes back to what you said earlier that, as you get more successful, it becomes much easier to let fear rule your decision making because you have something to lose.
Yeah. Now I got something to lose again. When I had nothing, I got nothing to lose. I'm like, sure, I'll teach classes. I'll do whatever. Like, I don't give a shit. So we ended up coming to an agreement. He made me a godfather.
An offer you couldn't refuse.
I couldn't refuse. So he made me an offer I couldn't refuse. And I had already kind of ideated on a composition notebook what I wanted to create. I knew it wanted to be boxing and strength training. I knew that. Non-negotiable. Weights were becoming super important, especially in female, and group fitness in New York City is dominated by the female demo. Obviously there's a ton of guys, but group fitness is historically 90% of your customer base at like a Soul Cycle or something is going to be female. Right. Where we won at Rumble was 70-30, 70% female, 30% guys, because it was boxing and a little bit, the brand was a little bit more gender neutral, but it resonated well with both. So I wrote down on a composition notebook 3 different things, like 3 principles, 3 pillars of what I wanted to accomplish, which was I wanted to punch shit, I wanted to listen to rap music, and I wanted to do cool things with cool people. Yeah. That was it. That was literally, and we built.
What's amazing
from that.
I saw that phrase, and that's the same phrase that we use at Optispan.
What?
Do cool things with cool people to raise all boats. That's our motto.
That's the reason I'm sitting here right now. It's a great motto, but it's always it's not really necessarily what you do. It's who you do it with and why you do it. Obviously is super important. Simon Sinek, start with why.
And it's just easier to get inspired and get energy from it if it's 100%. Cool stuff with cool people. No. And you're helping others, right? I mean,
everything aligned. Yep. I found my purpose. I got to express that purpose. I got to create impactful, a brand that impacted people all over the world positively for the first time in my life or my adult life. And I felt good. And I loved my time at Rumble. It was great. I sold it though to a corporation, and you know how that goes. It
changes.
Yeah. I mean, you lose your why, you lose your moral compass, your ethical compass. It starts everything's.
When did you sell Rumble?
IP coming out of the pandemic, because again, we had to navigate. So we exploded. January 9th, 2017. I have the tattoo somewhere. 1917. We opened up and blew up. I mean, everyone's talking about it from here to Bangladesh and back. Yeah. And we grow in studios. We opened up a bunch, and then the pandemic hit, and then the government says. Right. All these high revenue studios where you got big city rents, because we would always take prime real estate, because we focused on the aesthetic, obviously, as well as the experience. The government says, okay, 0 revenue, and we'll give you no plan. I mean, there was obviously some of the programs that helped a little bit, but
I mean, I can only imagine for that kind of business, especially.
It was really tough. It was really tough emotionally. For everybody. So again, I'm not complaining. It is. It was a tough time for everybody. So we sold the IP to a company called Exponential, and they started selling licenses while we remained in control of our corporate bricks and mortar stores that we built. Okay. And so we were kind of running those, and then it ended up just, not working out as well as we wanted to with that relationship. So we ended up kind of taking all of our stores and giving them over to Exponential. They bought them.
Got it.
And so Exponential fully held everything as of, I think it was July 2023.
Okay.
And I stayed on as a consultant trying to keep the brand as honest as possible. But again, you know, you deal with really strong external forces. Exponential has now gone on to sell that brand again to another company called Extraordinary. So, but that's why I got inspired. I said, listen, I want to create something that hopefully one day I don't have kids, but my kids can go to, something that's lasting. And I didn't want that to be, I've always thrown around this kind of phrase. I think it was Jay-Z said it, like, do you want to be a fad or do you want to be forever? So I remember I told you ADHD, you're never really, it's never really like when you accomplish something, you're never like, oh, I did it. Yeah. Amazing. It's all right, now what's next? I did it. I accomplished it. Cool. What's next? So that was that moment where I felt like I have so much more to give. And I started writing in my composition notebook again. What can I bring that's unique? That's going to create tremendous value. That's not a derivative. That's something new. And that led me to the pack.
Got it.
So the pack, the logo is the Cerberus, the three-headed dog. My business partner, and best friend, Dan Maynard, is an incredible creative. We're partners in the Waterford group together. He's the founder and I'm a partner with him. We do all the creative direction and design. We did it for Knuckle Therapy. We could talk about that later, but we're on the pack right now. Yep. So the pack, we did all of the creative. He knows me like the back of his hand. So he was like, you know, you love your dogs. I was like, yes, let's honor my dogs. And we do 3 different things at the pack. So it tied in perfectly with the three-headed Cerberus, honoring Oz, who passed away. I love him to death. He was with me 18 and a half years. He also was integral in helping me get through all of these depressive states and anxiety, because I had to show up for him. I had to take him on walks no matter how I felt, no matter if I got 0 sleep that night, because I was, suffering with panic attacks all night. I had to take care of Oz. I had to make sure he was fed, which also helped me get out of my own head. So, and then Tyson and Zoe, who
I know. Yeah. Great.
You've met them.
Love them.
So Tyson and Zoe still around. God bless them. So the 3 heads honor the 3 dogs, the loves of my life, my best friends in the world. And then the 3 modalities that we do, which is strength training, which is, as I've said, my whole career. It's the most important. It's the foundation. It's the bedrock. So that zone is the Oz zone. So when you walk into the studio, you got Oz on the wall and you got the strength training section. Yeah. Tyson is Tyson. He was going to be named Zeus because I'm a big fan of Greek mythological lore. That was one of the things that I could pay attention to as a kid. Even when I was having my really bad depressive states or ADHD, like tears, I could always read books or I would watch Hercules. And I just really love that. So the Cerberus taps into something that was very important when I was a kid as well. But Tyson was going to be Zeus. And then I rescued him from New Mexico. And the day that I brought him home, he was sitting on my shoulder on the couch, in NoHo. And he started nibbling on my ear. And I was like, oh, he's Tyson. That's Uncle Mike right there. So that's Uncle Mike, who was obviously very important. Me growing up, watching him come out, of course, larger than life in the 90s. Much respect for him. Spent some time with him. So shout out Mike. Love that. And then Zoe is like the guily, like crafty one. He's the one that always tries to steal the ball from Tyson, out of your hand, as opposed to, going heads on. It's like Thor and Loki.
Also the one who likes to give puppy kisses.
He's a little creepy, actually. He loves a suckle. He loves a kiss. He loves to hump. I don't even know. He's got no.
Yeah, he didn't do that to me.
Yeah, he's got no, I mean, he's wild. It's really wild. But, there are shop dogs that run around. But again, there's a lot of storytelling and nuance in a space where I feel like it's very corporate owned now and corporate. There's a lot of derivatives. There's a lot of like, I'm not like other girls and everybody's wearing the same set and they're doing the same things. And again, that's cool. I love that. But I wanted to create something a little bit more unique. So, that was meaningful as a founder. And again,
so you guys started the pack last year?
Yeah, a couple 3 months ago.
Oh, wow.
Right before the new year. So we did a little soft launch. We've been building up momentum for a bigger launch. And it's just, again, it's reminiscent of 2017, New York City, when we launched Rumble. I mean, the press, the publicity, the people, the support, the word of mouth, the reviews have all been super positive. We're doing things with every brand, Adidas, Reebok, and Vogue, and we have all these cool brands that want to do stuff with us, which is crazy to make a name for yourself and make city is very saturated. There's a lot of talented people. There's a lot of talented founders. There's a lot of great experiences. But, are
you guys hoping to expand to other locations?
I am focusing on right now.
Okay.
Yes, 100%. I've gotten calls from my friends in Germany already that want to franchise locally, domestically in the United States. Because again, Rumble, there are 110 locations, me being the founder and really creating, the IP with Eugene and Andy and Anthony, the other co-founders, we got a good track record of creating great experiences rooted in fitness that have an incredible aesthetic but are results driven, that aren't just about an aesthetic. So again, the three-headed dog, Dan and I kind of came up with, it's all on the merch, which is respectfully, I think, incredible, because Dan is a 20-year fashion veteran. He's worked with Subi, Reigns. He worked with YG, creative director for YG. So he's got a lot of expertise. So our merch, you walk in and respectfully, I think it looks like it could sit on the shelves of Kith and Ronnie's spot. And I really love that, because the three pillars, there's a lot of threes in my life. I told you about the three concepts of rumble. I want to, punch things, I want to listen to rap music, do cool things with cool people. My three dogs, the three heads of the service, the three things that we do at the pack, which is strength training, Oz. We do the street defense on the Bob. So we actually can work punch positioning and we can do elbows and knees and all that cool stuff. I'm sharpening with Elijah at Henzo Gracie's, with my boy Jared and Waz and James. I was trying to blacked out on my train.
I love how you give credit to everybody.
Oh yeah, no, because I wouldn't be shit. You ain't shit without your homies.
Yeah, I agree. But not everybody's like that. So.
No, I always give praise where praise is due. So they really help me get my elbows and my knees and my kick sharp, and I bring that to the pack, because we work on, again, that Bob that looks like a lifelike dummy. So I can teach you some things that, God forbid, you got to use them in the streets. Now you're at least a little bit more prepared.
Right.
First rule of defense, always get away, but sometimes you can't. Right. And it's also very cathartic. So I talk about Knuckle Therapy a lot. It is very cathartic to hit this plastic man or a rubber man, because you can project whoever you want. It's not, it's right. Ethically, it's fine. It's legally, obviously fine. Hit them. You had a bad day. Hit that person that, withheld rent. They said, I swear I paid the rent. I gave it to the landlord. They didn't. They were pocketing that stuff. So, and then the, one thing that I'm very proud of is we brought the assault bike, which is notoriously the most hated piece of equipment in group fitness, or in fitness, because it's so hard, but it's so effective and it's so impactful. And I knew that I could make it fun and digestible, because I knew the value it added to people. Because whether you're injured, coming off a knee injury, you can use this assault bike, or you're training for a professional fight, you can use this assault bike. So it's super scalable. It works everything in a very dynamic way. You're getting your conditioning, your strength training in, because you have the fan resisting you. So those three different modalities I believed in so much to open up, again, a new concept. So three different things.
So every class involves all three.
Involves those three.
Yep.
Yeah. So three different heads of the service.
Next time I'm in New York, I'm coming by and doing it.
Anytime you want. I would love that. So the three heads of the service, the three different things that we do, honoring the three dogs. It's called the pack. The logo, the font looks very similar to Knuckle Therapy. So there's a through line between the merch, which is Knuckle Therapy, and the pack, which is our bricks and mortar embodiment of kind of these philosophies that we've been talking about for forever.
Let's talk about Knuckle Therapy.
Yeah.
So what is that? Tell me about it.
Actually, I didn't even mean this. I forgot.
He's taking off his shirt.
No, I actually don't even have, I have that on. But this, okay. So let me see if I can find it real quick. So this was a real picture of, there's a lot of storytelling in my life, and there's a lot of through lines.
We'll get the picture for you we'll get the picture popped up
on the
screen.
So that picture was Oz play fighting, like wrestling. Again, it looks aggressive, but they were just playing with his best friend, Mickey, who was the dog of the person who really got me good at boxing, Brendan Francis, who I told you I trained with at Crunch Street on Lafayette. So they fought together. We would fight together. We would spar, and he was a big 250-pound Australian bloke. And, when Oz passed away, my ex, Olga, I got to give her credit. She took that photo. She's great. Olga Kabulova. Check her out. She does, she's a Ford model. And Alex Malishev was a Ford model as well, who I rented that Craigslist apartment.
Yeah, you mentioned that.
So again, there's a lot of crazy, serendipitous stuff. So that picture she took, and when Oz passed, I'm still devastated. He was my best friend for 18.5 years, got me through every low point in my life. Oz was my bedrock. I have Keith Hernandez, Dez, who has his own tattoo studio. He did this tattoo of Oz, which is the real picture of which the logo for Knuckle Therapy. It's Oz with his favorite toy, which I swear I didn't coerce him to do it. It's boxing gloves with a rope. He didn't like toys, but he carried that around a lot, and he wasn't a big toy guy like Tyson. So Dez did this tattoo based on this picture that I took of Oz. And so when he passed away, I was absolutely beside myself. Still am really messed up from it. But I was trying to figure out ways to honor him. And I was running around with this knuckle therapy idea for like forever. It was a phrase that I've always used in my classes or teaching. And it resonated with people. People started using it as captions.
Yeah.
And people would start saying, I'm going to get my therapy time when they were coming to box with me. And they'd say, oh, knuckle therapy time. So I was like, damn, we got something there. So I met with Dan Maynard, Waterford Group, and Daniel Amaze, who is our creative graphic designer, who helped come up with taking this photo and putting it on some merch, putting it on some hoodies. And Dan is, again, super connected in the scene. So we have a factory in LA that does everything. We get the blanks from BTSA, and then we print it all there. So we started just doing friends and family drops, and it blew up. And we sold out everything. I remember going to Vegas to speak at a convention on Rumble. And I had a trunk load of just like some remaining stuff. I think there was like probably $4,000 worth of stuff. And I'm walking through the Wynn and people are like, yo, knuckle therapy. What's that? And I'm like, that's crazy that people that don't even know me are like, what is that? Like pointing out the shirt, pointing out that. And I was like, actually, I got it in the trunk of my car. And it's like my mixtape moment. So I'm like slanging out the Wynn Hotel, knuckle therapy gear.
That's great.
And, it's just flying off the shelves, sold out everything. So I was like, damn, this is a real business. Like I didn't expect, this was just something that was honestly therapeutic for me. It was something that allowed me to honor, Oz, who saved my life time and time again. And is so impactful and profoundly important in my life to this day. Gave me a way to honor him while creating something fun that people, again, seem to enjoy.
Yeah.
So we ended up doing a full capsule drop. We have different t-shirts, all merch, socks, sweats, and everything sold out. So, we're doing a huge, re-release of everything in March. So knuckletherapy.com, put your email in. We're going to have cool stuff. We're going to do run clubs. We're going to have exclusive merch drops. I have some really cool friends that are a part of it. Shout out to my friend George Resch, Tank Sinatra, who is also an investor in the pack. I've known him for 13 years we met on a Nightline episode that we happened to be on together. He's a former addict. So he's very open about that. So we bonded kind of over that, the struggle. You probably know him from Influencers in the Wild or Tank's Good News. His pages have 15 million followers throughout all three of them. So he, again, my story and why I always give respect to people around me is because I would probably be dead. And I'm not trying to be dramatic. I'd probably be dead without the people around me.
Yeah.
I don't know what I would have done without Warren taking me under his wing to train Jiu-Jitsu after I almost OD'd. My parents, my family, Barry, Joey giving me a job, Eugene believing in me for Rumble. Like, I got to give credit where credit is due. It wasn't just me.
I think you're such a great lesson in gratitude, right? I think this is something that some of us have to learn. Yeah, but you've got it nailed. So
I learned it the very hard way because I used to be
those are the lessons that stick, right?
I learned the very hard way when I was in Gracious and I really was focused on like, what could I get for myself? My life was a fucking disaster. Even when I had like some certain like successes,
right.
things.
Other people might look at you and think that you're successful.
Yeah. Like I was driving an M3 BMW, but I was fucking miserable. Like, and my bank account was like dwindling. So I would much prefer to be Gracious. I've also found that, again, not selfless at all. This is like for my own coping mechanisms too. I've found that it's very hard to be depressed and gracious and show gratitude at the same breath.
Yeah. No.
So if I can show gratitude to those that have really believed in me and are integral in why I'm here or why I'm successful, it makes me feel better.
Yep.
And it reminds me that like, I'm really nothing special. I've accomplished, I think, what people would say are some special things, but if it wasn't for my people, I would just still be stuck in my parents' basement, playing video games, depressed as hell, maybe not even here on this planet talking to you. So gotta be.
That's fantastic. So let's get practical for a minute. And can you take us through what you do? What does your typical week look like for exercise?
Oh, for exercise?
Yeah, we'll go through all of it, but let's talk about exercise. Like, what do you actually do?
So I wake up. I gotta get my coffee. I gotta take care of my dogs. That's the first and foremost. That's always. So I try to, whether it's cold, 15 degrees or 75 degrees and sunny.
I can verify he's out there in 15 degrees.
Yeah. No, I am. We're ambulatory creatures. We gotta move even if it's cold. It's like the Donner Crossing. So that was a very niche, weird joke that I just made. Don't even look up what the Donner Crossing was.
We can edit that.
No, I'll keep it in. I don't know why I just referenced one of the most tragic expeditions of all time. See, I read books too. I don't just work out. So I try to my boy Evan Betts, who's one of my trainers at the Pack, really good guy. He got me a weighted vest. So I try to, honestly, I put the weighted vest on. I don't have it on right now, but I walk as much as I can. The dogs need exercise too. So even if it's cold, I tie them to my waist and I walk all the way 2.5 miles from my spot and 2 bridges all the way up to Chelsea, Flatiron. So I walk with the dogs, taking calls. You'll always see me walking through Soho and NoHo, like on my little Beats, Power Beats headset, like talking to not myself. Although it's in New York, nobody cares. You can do whatever you want. So I tend to take meetings, throughout the day, but I try to stay active. I remember reading, Shoe Dog, where, Phil Knight would always go for runs for meetings, or he would run like 12 miles or something before an important meeting to clear his mind. So I try to, and Steve Jobs would always take walking meetings because he felt more creative when he was walking. So again, I'm not smarter than these guys, so I'm just going to do what they do and hopefully it works out. So I walk a lot while I'm talking. So I always have meetings, and whether I'm working on Knuckle Therapy or, I'm a partner in, the restaurant Honey Brains. We got two new locations opening. Honey Brains is all about, healthy eating, but not having to think about it, just fast casual, but super healthy, developed by 2 neurologists, neuroscience brothers. So the whole menu is supposed to help promote cognitive function, whether it's healthy salmons and grass-fed steaks and all this good stuff. So dealing with a lot, ADHD, I'm better when I work on multiple things because I don't get bored. I can just pop from Knuckle Therapy to the Pack, Honey Brains, Waterford Group, creative agency, giving insight and input and creating cool things for other people as well. So, walking around, and then I'll normally, hopefully if I'm lucky enough, I'll train for like an hour or so with my boys at Henzo's right up the street from the Pack before I teach. And then I'll teach class.
And when you say train, what do you mean?
So we do, we'll do mitt work with Elijah, we'll spar. And then normally if we're so gracious enough to have Black Rob, who is a 20-year, just veteran in the game. He's a staple of Henzo's up there, black belt under Henzo, really good guy. We'll do some wrestling as well after and work locks and some hybrid approach to fighting. And, again, I'll wake up, or I'll literally walk out awoken and rejuvenated no matter how hard we trained. I feel inspired. Like if I got through that with my boys, I can do anything. So then I'll teach, and then I'll normally take a class. And then if I'm feeling inspired, I'll walk another 2.5 miles home. Or I'll take the subway, we take the F train, or if the dogs are feeling really bougie, I got them a puppy wagon. They got a Porsche. I don't have it. It's not for me. I would have no car if it wasn't for them, but it's too cold sometimes. So I have to throw them in the back and I drive them, but they're very bougie. They went from New Mexico kill shelter to flying in a private jet to shooting for Kith and Petco and living in a beautiful apartment and having nannies and stuff.
They seem very well adjusted.
They are. They can get they got to learn a little gratitude. No, I'm kidding. They show great gratitude. But,
so you do a lot though. You do a lot.
No, I just try to stay busy. I mean, again, I think it's very simply put, the more you do, the more you can do.
Yeah.
It used to exhaust me looking at my days and looking at my, never ending 7-day work weeks. But I've been very fortunate in creating a life where I can build incredible things that impact people with my friends.
Let me ask you something. Maybe you're not there yet, but I would guess at least some of the people who take your classes are older, right? Yeah. How do you think about balancing being active with not getting injured, especially as you're getting older?
I have been very fortunate. I've fought some really incredible people that are much better than me at fighting, and I've mitigated injuries thus far. But you know where I got hurt? I was playing pickup basketball in the East House and courts with my baby brother right before I was about to film something with Lululemon. I was about to go on a 2-week filming thing for their mirror thing when I was on there, and I've twisted my knee. Yeah. And Charles Poliquin said that if you're thinking about injuries, you might actually get injured more.
I think that's
so.
True.
I just try to be honest, I do as much recovery work as I can. There's this, and if you're a New Yorker, you might know this place. It's called the All Seasons Spa, not the Four Seasons. It's this little Asian massage parlor on 8th Street University and 6th Avenue. And I get work done. It's literally $1 a minute. And I've been to all the bougie ones, and they are not as good as...
All right, insider tip there.
So insider tip, go to the All Season. Not the one up the stairs, it's on the ground level. So, and you walk in and everyone's getting their foot rubbed, and you can go back and get full body massage. No funny business, guys. Just this is a real massage place. And they're so talented. It's just like, I don't know, this guy, so I do a lot of deep tissue work whenever I can. I try to go once a week. Sometimes it's once every other week because, life happens. But so no, what I'm saying is I try to, instead of putting a Band-Aid on something when I get injured, I try to just, again, I try to eat as well as I can to recover. I try to sleep as much as I can to recover. I try to get the tissue done. I do a lot of like dynamic stretching to make sure that my hips and my lower back can deal with the stress. And so far, so good.
And how old are you?
How old do you think I am?
It's okay.
No, you can tell me.
40.
Yeah, 41.
So
it's because I didn't moisturize, and because God damn it.
But the only reason I know that is because I looked it up beforehand. So.
Oh, okay. You can look that up. See, that's
I'm terrible at guessing ages, anyways. But I don't think I would have guessed you're 40. I'd probably guess you're in the 30s.
No, it's listen. I am what I am, and I'm very proud.
Tell me about it.
I am what I am.
The reason I ask is because I think it'll be interesting to see where you're at 10 years, 20 years from now. So somebody who's going to be 55 in 2 weeks.
Happy early birthday.
Yeah, thank you.
Your best or your next.
Thank you.
As we always say.
I have adjusted. I agree with you about being scared of getting injured is going to make you more likely to get injured. I have adjusted some of the activities that I do. Like I would love to go out and play competitive basketball, but that's a sport where as you get older, you're just much more likely to get injured.
I told you I got hurt playing basketball.
Right. That's what made me think of it.
And I've rolled with some
I've backed off on the heavy deadlifts, even though deadlifts are my favorite lift.
Trap bar.
Right.
Love a trap bar.
So just being intentional and adjusting, but not being scared of getting injured, I think is probably the sweet spot.
Yeah, I agree. Also, do as I say, not as I do. I'm going to be doing crazy shit until I die. Like, I ride motorcycles. I'll do that until I'm 90. Sorry, Mom. They gave me 2 rules. My parents didn't really give me a lot of rules growing up, if you couldn't tell. And they were like, don't get any tattoos and don't ride motorcycles. And I'm like, oh, sorry. I'm so sorry. But I got to balance it.
I'm sure your parents are very proud of you.
They are there. But not, I gave them a lot of concerns growing up. But no, I mean, I'm going to do all that stuff until I physically got to, Charles Heston, what's his name? You're going to pry this out of my cold dead hands. Right. Like, that's how I treat all the things that I love to do.
We'll just come back in 10 years and see where you're at.
I'm going to be the same. I'm going to be the same guy. I'm going to be at Henzo's. I'm going to be hitting. I'm going to be at the pack. I'm going to be teaching as long as I can.
I believe you will. Yeah.
You teach. Jack LaLanne was doing finger push-ups.
I'm not at all trying to say
don't doubt me.
You should stop.
Don't doubt me. Watch me. No.
Do you teach every day?
7 days a week.
Wow. Good for you. Good for you.
That's the fun part.
It brings you energy, right? I
get to feed off New Yorkers. I get to meet new people. We had somebody come in from London today. Like I've had people come in from Paris and Australia. Yeah. Like, I don't know. It's just, it's fun for me. It's fun for me to meet people. I love getting to show people how to fight. I love getting, being able to show people how to work hard together. And creating an experience, I play the music. We got the DJ stand up there. I play the music, I'll drop the lights and create this experience all rooted in getting people to be, their strongest versions of themselves and fight through things and learn these principles that one, obviously, increase, your strength and your health and your longevity and your aesthetic. If you're into that, that's fine. I'm not one of those guys that's like, oh, you can't train for abs. Like if you want the abs, train for them, whatever gets you in there. But again, there's something with this discipline that is much more viscerally rewarding with that knuckle therapy. Mm-hmm. And I think that's really unique to what we do at the pack, where you're hitting this bob, you're learning how to throw punches, you're getting this mental release, but you're also, obviously you're not going to learn how to become a pro fighter there, but you're getting a lot of realistic training that helps fill you with this level of confidence and presence. Right. That you can carry with you in a podcast, in a boardroom, right. Whether you're going on a blind date, wherever it is, whether you're, dealing with a dysfunctional family, like whatever it is, these things that you learn in there can help you outside. And that's what I'm really like kind of addicted to is I want to make people's days better because when I focused on like how to make my own day better, it's like it's overwhelming. I'd rather focus on my dogs and other people.
And the rest takes care of itself.
The rest just works out.
Yeah. So now we're going to talk a little bit about you though. So we talked about exercise. What do you do for food? You've talked about eating a healthy diet. What does that mean?
I eat a lot. I just eat as much as I can and just try to keep it as clean as possible. I do love pizza and ice cream though. So I do a lot of pizza. There's this pizza at Whole Foods. I forget what it's called. It's a frozen one. So pardon my blasphemy because I'm a New Yorker. I love Prince Street. I'm a Prince Street over Joe's guy. But it's like Table 87 is the one on Shark Tank is the individual slices. I crush like 2 or 3 of those a night and they're so good.
You don't do that every night though.
Pretty much.
Really?
My BMR is like 3,500. So like I could literally, so what that means is basal metabolic rate. Basal metabolic rate. Basil. I was talking about
No,
Basil.
Basel. I say basil.
Basil is from Austin Powers. Basil is Anyway, so basal metabolic rate is 3,500. So that means just sitting. If I sat in a stool all day, I'd burn 3,500 calories. Because again, ADHD, my mind's always racing. I'm always focused. I'm always running around. So I try to backload my calories a lot. So you know, I don't supplement as much. I do the protein powders. I don't do a multivitamin, but I do a lot of like, I'm blanking on it's like when somebody asks your favorite movie.
Sure.
And you're like, I've never seen a movie in my life. I've taken vitamins for like my whole life and I forget every one that I've taken.
So you don't do a lot of supplements though?
Look, supplements are just that. They supplement a nutrient-dense diet.
Yep.
So I know it's very expensive of pizza. Well,
tell me what else you eat. So
all right.
I don't have to leave our audience.
Sorry. Eat pizza nonstop.
I pound 4 pizzas a night.
No, I just want people to understand that like you don't have to be like, I used to be perfect. I used to write down everything that I ate. I'll track all my calories. And I hate that now. Again, no disrespect if that helps you. I did it and it helped me learn about portion calories.
I think it's important as an educational tool.
Yes, you should learn. But then you got to kind of go freestyle and go rogue once you learn. Like, you know, you learn the tenets of fighting, then you find your own style. Like Bruce Lee. So, I do a lot of like whole foods. So I'll do like bison, grass-fed bison meat. I do chicken. I prioritize protein, obviously, like everyone else, but I don't mitigate carbs by any means. I think that was the point of the pizza is carbs have a very bad reputation. I eat a ton of potatoes and white rice. I do a lot of like, fibrous vegetables. So I'll do spinach and broccoli and cauliflower and Brussels sprouts. I love a pan fried Brussels sprout, crispy Brussels sprouts, one of my favorites, with a little balsamic glaze. And I make it really easy on myself because it's like Steve Jobs wearing the turtleneck every day. Like I want to mitigate any extra decisions I have to make in my life because I have to make so many throughout the day that I'll wake up and, you know, I know that I'm going to have 10 eggs, a lot of eggs, 10 organic eggs. If I don't have time to cook them, I'm doing the Rocky chug.
Oh yeah?
I put it on my Instagram sometimes where I chug the video or I chug in the video and everyone's like, ooh, you're gross. You're fucking nasty. I'm like, why'd you watch? They're like, cause you're gross. You're nasty. I was like, yeah, well, clickbait. So a lot of eggs, a lot of spinach and again, fibrous vegetables, a lot of protein. But then like, I don't go crazy. If I want to have Thai food, I just ordered like, you know, drunken hobo noodles last night and chicken satay and mango sticky rice, and I ate the whole damn thing because again I earned that. Like I worked my way up to that. So if you should be, you know, based on your goals, adjusting calories, and if you want to lose weight, you got to have a caloric deficit and all this stuff. But for me, I could eat as much as I want at this point. And we got again because I trained for that stuff.
Right, and you're really active too.
And I eat a lot at Honey Brains or Impact Kitchen in New York City, where I don't have to think. I can just roll up. You know, I get Honey Brains today. Meal. I got a steak and egg wrap, which has this jalapeno aioli sauce, and I got my dogs a piece of salmon, which was plain, and they ate the salmon. I ate the wrap.
See, now I'm hungry.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Like I eat a lot, but I just eat healthy. I love a Chipotle, love a double chicken, rice, avocado and cheese. I bring the dogs in so they don't charge me for double meats because when I see the dog, I'm like, oh, I got the dogs, and they start to pet them and they can't charge me for double. So,
there you go. Another insider tip.
Yeah.
Full of them.
Listen, my grandma would be so proud. Beatrice, may she rest in peace. I'm saving, you know, $1.50.
Do you do anything around sleep or are you feel like your sleep's pretty dialed in?
It can always be better. I mean, sleep can always be better. Sometimes I try to get 8 hours. Is that always possible? No. But I try as best as I can. And catching up on sleep is a real thing. I try to sleep in when I can. But my mornings start kind of early and I go till pretty late. So it's hard because I like to have downtime, play a little Call of Duty with my brother, a little Fallout, hang with the boys after, you know, I've been watching all the John Wicks again. Obviously I'm such a bro. So yeah, I mean, it's sleep is really important, but also it's very hard to do all of these protocols. And I understand that comes from kind of a place of privilege. So oftentimes
I'm not sure the protocols are necessary. No, it depends on the person, right? It depends on whether you struggle with sleep and you know, if you need to practice the sleep hygiene or not.
No, I know. Sleep is obviously super important. I think I didn't sleep enough last night. Probably see the bag on the eyes. I had to take my friend to the airport this morning.
Right. Well, I mean, it sounds like, so, you know, we think about eat, move, sleep, connect as the pillars of health span. It sounds like sometimes you sacrifice sleep for the connect. You've got the connect dialed in. It seems like your relationships you got lots of relationships, doing things with other people.
Well, balance is a myth. Who said this? Balance is a myth. Maybe it was Bezos or one of these other like entrepreneurial bros. If you want to create things of incredible impact, it is very hard to find that balance. But that's not everybody's goal.
Sure.
And it shouldn't be.
Sure.
Like, not everybody can go out and create, their own brands and do their own thing. That's not for everybody.
Yeah.
It can't be. It's just not possible. I think more people need to believe in themselves and believe in the value of their own production and what they can offer to the world. But sometimes that's just opening the door for somebody and smiling. Like, again, there's levels of impact. And I think that people undervalue themselves and how they can make an impact. But balance is really a myth. If you want to create unique things, you have to act uniquely. So there are days where I won't get a lot of sleep. And then I try to, when I can, sleep as much as I can. There are days where I can't eat until 6 p.m. Like, I forgot and I'm running around, I have meetings and I'm teaching and I'm doing podcasts and this. There are days where I have to live in extreme unbalance, and learning how to navigate those extremes, I think, is where I've found my most success. But also my most pleasure. Like, I never found any pleasure in the middle ground. I forget if it was Aristotle, Nicomachean Ethics. Maybe it was Socrates. Aristotle or Socrates said that virtue is found in the medium or the mean between two extremes. He's dead, so he can't defend himself. So fuck that guy. Like, I love the book. It's fine. It's fine. But I don't agree with that. I just don't agree with that. I'm like LeBron James. I'm either chilling on the couch playing video games or I'm out fucking getting after it. There is no like middle ground for me. And I don't know if that's a psychological
I think what
thing.
You're saying though is not so much.
I didn't mean to flick off a stoic philosopher.
It's okay. He's dead, like you said.
He's dead. He can't even defend himself.
But I think, correct me if I'm wrong, I think what you're saying is not so much that moderation is necessarily bad, but mediocrity is not what you're striving for.
Exactly. And I think that there's a lot of mediocrity in that middle space. And again, people have different metrics of success or what they want to accomplish. So I'm not belittling anybody. I'm empathetic for everybody. I never judge. Again, I've been through so many different things in my life. I've been fat, I've been skinny, I've been poor, I've been depressed, I've been rich, I've been broke again, I've been rich again. Like, I've been everywhere in my life. So I have so much empathy for everybody struggling, and going through it. But what I've found, again, is living in the extremes is where you have the most joy, the most fun, the most reward.
Can be. Here's the way I would think about it. You tell me if this aligns with you. I think it can be that when what you're doing brings you energy. But if you're living in the extremes and
you could
sucking energy from you,
burn out.
Right? So that to me is really at least what it comes down to for me is finding the activities that bring you energy. And 100%. That's going to align with a healthier life.
No, I totally agree. You can get really burned out if you fly too close to the sun on either end of the spectrum, or fly too close to Hades or Tartarus, or fly too close to the sun, so to speak. But 100%. But again, my situation is really unique. I get a lot of energy from the city. I get a lot of love. I get a lot of joy from interacting with people and seeing the brands that I've created or that I've worked to create with my friends, impacting them. So that fills me with such energy. And I've learned to pick up on that. I think that's not unique to me. I think anybody can.
Sure.
So again, living in those extremes is where I find my most joy and impact. But you're absolutely right. You have to find that way to rejuvenate yourself. And I've found ways to re-up my energy. Even when I'm flying high and I'm redlining, I've found ways to, shift gears and get that extra push so that I can, raise the RPMs again, and keep pushing forward towards my goals or towards doing what I need to do to feel like I, handled my business that day.
Is there anything about, this journey that you've been on is amazing, right? Is there anything about this journey that has really been unexpected? I'm sure that you could say the whole thing, but that you've learned, like, what's something where you just really, you learned a lesson that you didn't expect?
I learned a lot when I almost OD'd. I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
I don't suggest it. It's very wise to learn from, your own mistakes. It's genius to learn from other mistakes. So please don't go through what I went through to learn what I've learned. You can learn it in many other ways that are less than lethal ways. What has been unexpected? People's reception to what I've tried to create and produce. I think because there's so many good people out there. There's so many talented things. There's so many talented individuals. It's like, why did that one song pop when there's probably another song that's better from another artist that you'll never hear ever? So I just feel grateful that, if a tree falls in the forest and nobody's there to hear it, then does it really fall? Like, the fact that people have resonated so well with what I'm trying to embody and the brands that I've tried to, really put a lot of heart and soul and tried to create a arena of impact. and just seeing how people interact with those and that they support them that's probably been the craziest thing. Still to this day, when I open the door and I see people come in for my class, I'm like, fuck, like that's crazy. That's crazy. Like that's wild to me that people would come and, show their time, effort, and energy. And I don't take that lightly ever.
That's awesome.
And I never will.
What is it that you think makes people resonate with you?
I don't want to throw around this word, but it's about as good as I got I don't know. I'm very authentic. I think if you've known me,
right.
I think if you've known me for a day or 15 years or 20 years, like or 41 years, I've never really changed up. I've never switched up. Maybe a little bit when I got probably a little bit too into myself and my head grew a little bit too high when I launched Rumble and I saw that. But I learned quickly, then the pandemic hit. So maybe that was a blessing and the curse in disguise. It teaches you, again, humility real quick. I'll never let that happen again. I think that it's just really, I don't know. It's just, I've never changed. I'm just a guy. Like there's nothing about me that's like necessarily spectacular, but I've accomplished a lot because I've, learned from my tremendous mistakes. I've used all of my disadvantages or perceived disadvantages I've turned into superpowers. And I've surrounded myself with some really incredible people that help guide me and give me energy and give me insight and lend their tremendous talents. And I've formed like the Avengers in my life that keep me going and keep me creating things that I love and that hopefully have a tremendous impact on others that I serve.
Yeah. So I'll tell you what I just heard there. I think you are, and again, I said this before, but I mean it completely. You are an amazing lesson in humility and gratitude.
Thank you.
And congratulations.
Thank you. No, I appreciate that. That means a lot to hear that. I'll never get sick of I'm a middle child. So positive reinforcement. Positive reinforcement is great in my camp. So,
all right. So what are you most excited about going into the future?
Oh my God. I'm excited for the pack. I'm excited for Knuckle Therapy. I'm excited for Waterford Group. I'm excited to buy my boys some new fleece coats because their zippers just broke on them. So I'm excited to get them.
I saw their nice coats.
I know, but the zippers where they were playing in them and then the zippers broke. So if you guys have any recommendations for like Pup Claire or North Pup or whatever it is, like I need some new dog.
Maybe that can be your next.
No, I do. Knuckle Therapy will eventually launch like a dog line. I actually just talked to my partner about it. I want to do a whole line of pet stuff because obviously I love them to death.
Yeah.
But I'm just excited to be here, man. I'm just like, I could have been dead. So every day I'm just like, hooray, here I am. So I just want to go, I tend not to, and my, business advisors will shake their finger at me, but like, I try not to think too far into the future because I don't know what's going to happen. So I just enjoy every day and enjoy creating the things that I'm, creating and working on and being present and taking these opportunities to talk. And hopefully my, insights or my mistakes, I should say, will help, inspire the next person like me that feels like they're downtrodden, that they're hopeless, that they're at that rock bottom stage. That's really what it is. I think I always talk to the most broken version of myself when I'm here, and I hopefully that will resonate with somebody who might be on the other end of it that's going through it. Because again, I'm certainly not special. So I'm just happy to be here and I'm just happy to keep creating. But no, the Pack Knuckle Therapy and Waterford Group and seeing where Honey Brains goes and working on my projects that, will keep impacting the culture.
So what would be one piece of advice for that person who's going through what you went through?
Damn. I spit a bar, and I can't take credit for it. It's Fight Club. But I said it on the last podcast and everybody started DMing me it. It's only when you've lost everything, I'll paraphrase it. Only when you've lost everything are you free to do anything. And I think this kind of like, that could be the title of this podcast too. Cause it's so true. I mean, again, like if you are going through it, you've got nothing to lose. Don't let that be a detriment to you. Let that be, you got no strings to hold you down. You're Pinocchio. Like let it become your biggest superpower and strength that you are broken. You are fucked up. You are going through it. So what do you have to lose by trying, by taking risks, by putting yourself out there, by taking that meeting, by in the face of depression and anxiety and going through these tremendous impediments to your life? What's the risk of going, keep going? Winston Churchill, if you're going through hell, keep going.
Right.
You got nowhere else to go. 50 Cent, I got to make it through heaven. I got to make it to heaven. I'm going through hell. You're going through hell. Acknowledge that. Don't shy away from it. own it. Own every beating second of it. Own every mental and physical pain and pang that it's giving you, and train yourself. It's not going to happen instantly. Train that to be the chip on your shoulder that pushes you and propels you to create. And my advice, to be honest, if you want to hear a literal piece of advice, if you're going through it, go to a shelter, donate your time, go to a soup kitchen, donate your time. You're not going to make any money, but you're going to make some impact, and that will hopefully give you enough positivity and energy to make that change in your life. I think, again, when you focus on what you're going through, and it can be super, obviously, physically and emotionally and mentally taxing, it consumes your life, especially the darkness. That's just human nature. I think, science will say the brain always defaults to if somebody gives you 10 positive comments and one thing, it's always going to default to the negative. Yep. So you can train and condition yourself. So if you're going through hell, literally just go donate your time. I think that's the best thing. Don't sit and stew in it. That's the worst thing. I did that for far too long, and it really, it's why I almost overdosed, to be honest. So don't do that, please. But talk to people. I think putting yourself out there as well. Don't feel like you're going through it alone. Everybody's going through something always. There's obviously different varying degrees and levels, but everyone's always going through it no matter what. It's always relative. And again, you got nothing to lose. So have fun with it. Have fun with your pain. That's it.
I think
so that's it. Let's end on that.
Yeah, no, I think
have fun with your pain.
I think as somebody who's never, I don't think experienced that depth, right, of anxiety or depression, a related concept that has really resonated with me, especially over the last few years, is choose love, not fear. Yeah. Right? Instead of basing your decisions on fear or defaulting to the negative, choose love. And you talked about going and doing something for somebody else.
100%. Fearless minds climb soonest on 2 crowns.
Yep.
Don't choose fear. Don't choose fear. Choose love. I like that.
I think that's something we can all learn from. And
even the internet can't be divided.
As we already said, we're all works in progress.
Everybody to this day. I'm still trying to figure it out, and life is just a constant.
We're just 2 guys who are trying to figure it out.
Who isn't?
Talking about it.
Who isn't?
This has been an amazing discussion. Thank you so much, Noah, for taking the time. Pleasure. Really appreciate it.
Of course.
Again, thank you for bringing Tyson and Zoe along the other day.
I was going to bring them, but this would have been a lot.
It would have been a lot of fun, but they'd be like, "Come on, guys."
Yeah.
Really appreciate it, and I'm looking forward to coming down to the pack next time I'm around, and you can put me through the ringer.
Yeah, check out the pack, Knuckle Therapy, at Knuckle Therapy, at the pack, knuckletherapy.com, wethepack.com, wethepack.com, and then at Noah D. Neiman if you want to connect. I love new Instagram friends. When my follower count goes up, my nieces think I'm really cool, and my nephew. That's fun. They're like, "Oh, Uncle Noah has the blue check mark." That's fun. So, if you want to connect, I love, it's really just workouts, dogs, and that's pretty much it.
What more is there?
Yeah. So I'm a simple
Good times with good friends. Awesome.
Exactly.
Thanks, man.
Thank you, brother. Thank you, guys.